What's going on, everybody? So I had a live video during the Florida versus USF game, but I wanted to make a, shorter video so you didn't have to watch a 4-hour live. Well, I went crazy during that live, and I'm pretty sure if you're a Florida fan or Florida fanatic, probably the same way, screaming at your video or screaming at your TV like they can hear you, and of course they never do, and they never respond. But you know what? Florida squeaks out a win, 31-28 at home against USF. It was not the prettiest of games. Let's just say that's the least. It was not a great game. Probably either side. Offense only scoring. Well, they only scored 24. Defense did have a pick six. Jalen Kimber with a sweet pick six. But other than that, the defense did give up a lot of yards. USF ran the ball 46 times for 286 yards, a 6.2 yard per carry average, 3 touchdowns. Not the greatest. Now, the Florida Gators defensive backs and secondary did very well. South Florida passing was only 12 of 28, 116 yards, 2 interceptions. They did their job in the secondary. And you know what? Late in the game, the defensive line did step up for the Florida Gators. Got some big stops, got some, big hits. Brenton Cox came up huge at the end of the game. And, he gets a lot of flack. He gets a lot of, hate. But, man, when it was time, Brenton Cox played a huge role for Florida at the end of that USF game. Now, talk a little bit about the defense. Talk about the offensive side. Anthony Richardson, his second worst game, and it might have been his worst. 10 of 18, 112 yards. Again, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Anthony Richardson has 4 interceptions, no touchdown passes this year. That is not good. That is not good for when you need a quarterback at the end of games. You need a quarterback that can throw, because sooner or later you're going to need a game where you need to throw, kind of like the Kentucky game. And if you ain't got a quarterback that can throw and get it done, you're going to be getting some losses. And Florida's 2-1. It really that win-loss record could be all over the place, because Florida's had 3 tight games, down to the wire. So, these 3 weeks have been absolutely crazy for a Florida Gator fan. And probably week 4 is not going to be any better. It's going to be a stressful week for me being a Florida Gator fan when the Florida Gators go to Neyland Stadium and play at Tennessee, a top-ranked team that has been firing on all cylinders, especially on the offensive side. So, now, the Florida Gators rushing against USF, Montreal Johnson, 6 carries for 103 yards, had that big 62-yard touchdown run. Trevor Etienne, 8 carries for 56 yards, a 7-yard per carry average, 1 touchdown. Naquan Wright, 6 carries for 37 yards, 6.2 yard per carry average. You look at this and you're like, wow, that's a lot of rush yards. Florida as a team ran the ball for 30 times, 217 yards, a 7.2 yard per carry average. Now, you want to ask yourself, why did the Florida Gators not run it even more? Listen, I don't mind the running back by committee, like the Florida Gators do. But, man, when you got 2 really stud running backs, Montreal Johnson and Trevor Etienne, you want to give these guys more than 6 and 8 carries. I'm just going to be honest. I've never played running back, but if you've ever played a position on the field, the more reps you get, especially during a game, you get the game flow. You get a flow of how the defense, is doing, how the defense is going to hit you, just everything about it. But, with only getting, 14 carries for your stud running backs, and those stud running backs, 14 carries for 159 yards and 2 touchdowns. Naquan Wright, good running back in his own, but, I would like to see the Florida Gators feature 2. If they're not going to feature just 1, Trevor Etienne and Montreal Johnson need those carries. Nothing against Naquan Wright, but man, you just see those 2 guys, Montreal Johnson and Trevor Etienne. They're stud running backs. And, you don't want anything to happen to them. You want to feed these guys. And, you saw it at the end of the game whenever it was time. Trevor Etienne, at the end of the fourth quarter, still only had 4 carries. And then they feed the man. And then look what happens. he runs it down their throat and gets you the lead. So, I would like to see the Florida Gators, utilize those running backs. And I would really like to see them use it against Tennessee. But at the end of the day, Florida Gators got to come up with the situation, especially the quarterback situation. I don't think there's anybody behind Anthony Richardson at the moment who's healthy that can really come in and play better. Jalen Kitna, his dad's a former Detroit Lions quarterback, John Kitna. He's been with the Florida Gators for a couple years. He's a redshirt freshman. Is he the guy? Kyle Engel, walk on. You got Max Brown, true freshman. There's really nothing behind that says, those guys can even get the job done better. But, with Anthony Richardson, what I found out, I didn't find that out, during my live video, but I found it out after the game that he was the one that checked off at the 5-yard line. He checked off from a run to a pass. And the only explanation was that he wanted to give Justin Shorter a chance, because he's a taller receiver. No, you don't. You're not that guy. You're not that guy right now, unless you put some performances up, or unless you win like a Heisman Trophy like Bryce Young, Will Levis. You've been in a system for like 4 years. Maybe you get the the respect to go, okay, you can check off, if you feel like, hey, that'll be a better play. But he's not that guy, and he hasn't even thrown a touchdown pass. And, I think he's heard a lot of noise about him not throwing in, he can't throw in the red zone, or he can't throw in general. And, and he's only proven everybody right while he's trying to force stuff. But he was off high. He was off on a lot of his throws during the USF game. But, they're going to have to figure something out because, even the Florida Gators wide receivers, which they didn't get really much separation. The guy I like the most, Ricky Pierce, only had one catch for 14 yards. Your leading receiver literally only had one catch. It was Trent Whittemore. And I haven't heard from him in about 3 weeks. So he had one catch for 33 yards. Great post corner route. So, a win's a win, and I will take it. But, the quarterback situation is glaring. The defense giving up 286 yards on the ground is a cause for concern, especially entering another big game. One of the top ranked teams in the country. Tennessee is rolling, and Florida's going to have to get something fixed within a week. So we'll see how that works out. And you know what? We got to have trust in Billy Napier and his staff. But hey, I appreciate you watching this channel. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great one.